The Footmen thought they were victorious. Standing at the edge of the dark portal, the Footmen were ready to land the final blow and finish off the Horde once and for all. The portal would crumble, and the story would be over. Yet, that's not how the story goes. The Footmen's swords crumble when they strike the portal, and they can only deal superficial damage to this cursed object that summoned the Horde. The portal is magically reinforced, and all seems lost. Before anyone can react, a skilled mage from Ultarok approaches. Khadgar claims that only a mage can destroy the portal and offers to lead an expedition to the other side. There, he claims, he can use magic to destroy it for good. The Footmen Council considers this tempting offer. Footmen drove back the Horde once, but at a great cost. If unbanning the practice of magic could lead to the destruction of the Great Portal, then perhaps it is time to abandon the ways of the Footman. Just as Footmen are about to accept this help, another voice stands out, this one far mightier and far more honorable than Khadgar. Medivh shouts that he has seen the future, and that accepting magic will only lead to ruin. Instead, he tells the council to send an expedition of only Footmen to the other side. He claims that this path, and only this path, will guarantee victory. So today, we ask ourselves the great question, is it possible to beat Warcraft 2, Beyond the Dark Portal, with only Footmen? If you watched my previous video, you'll know that Warcraft 2 bugs out whenever you reload a save. I only found out about this while I was editing my previous video, and it recontextualized the entire campaign. Moments that I thought were triumphant became marred by the uncertainty of whether my victories were legitimate. I learned I didn't actually know what the AI is supposed to do on any level in the campaign. Even worse, the script I was writing became boring and repetitive. Every level became, I tried X, it didn't work, then I reset, the level probably broke, and I won. I was bored, which means you would have been bored, and I couldn't let that stand. So, to fix it, I went back to the drawing board, started a new run with Footmen, and banned saving in the middle of a level. With that, let's take a look at the first level of the challenge. Chapter 2, A New Hero Emerges. I start the level with 3 Footmen, 5 peasants, and God's gift to footmankind. Daynath is a heroic footman, and he is a beast. With 8 armor, 4 to 23 damage, 10 speed, and a whopping 220 health, Daynath is a tank who will carry us through every mission he appears in. I still need to be careful with him, because if he dies, I lose, and Footmen have no way to heal him. This actually happens the first time I play the mission, but on my second attempt, he slays a bunch of orcs while I'm setting up my base, then I retire him to the center of my base. There are 3 enemies in this level. Red sends in constant but relatively small ground-based assaults, attacking with grunts, axe throwers, ogres, and catapults. Yellow takes a little longer to get going than red, but once they do, they love spamming dragons while sending in an occasional powerful ground wave. The third enemy is black, and they start the map as a sleeping giant. As long as you don't move a unit near their base, they will coexist peacefully with you, but as soon as you do, you'll face the wrath of their Death Knights. It's not too hard to survive, so I build up, kill red, and take their gold mine. As I'm destroying their base, a yellow catapult lures one of my units into black space, and the response is swift vengeance as they obliterate the edge of my base with death coils and death and decay. Death Knights are the scariest enemies in the game, because their spells are very strong and the AI will constantly harass you with them before retreating. If a unit is hit by a Death Knight spell, they will charge straight towards the Death Knight automatically and will chase them to the ends of the earth, or at least into the enemy's towers. Thankfully, I am doing very well at this point, and I'm able to expand to Red's gold mine and continue building faster than Black can destroy me. The Death Knights are starting to really annoy me, so I make Black my next target. My first attack on their base makes a lot of progress as I destroy every tower in their base, but I'm cleaned up by reinforcements. I'm still mining and have 6 racks production, so I build up and go again as fast as I can. My second wave finishes the job as I destroy everything there. I try moving on to Yellow next, and I expect this one to be easy as Yellow's army is currently stuck trying to cross a river to reach my base. However, when I get there, I discover there is an army defending Yellow's base. It's not Yellow's army, but instead, Black's army. During the chaos of storming Black's base, a few of Black's peons snuck into Yellow's base, and rebuilt all of their production there. Since Black never really attacked me, they still have a ton of money. I destroy Yellow's Dragon Roost, but am thrown back by Black's army and have to build up again. Still, this is just a speed bump, and once I have enough footmen, I rush in and overwhelm Black's army, then destroy Yellow's base for good. Once that's taken care of, I hunt down Yellow's stuck army, then destroy the rest of Black's scattered attempts to rebuild around the map. First level, not too bad. Chapter 3: The Expansion Trap. Once more Into the Breach is a level I am dreading. Even with the save glitch, I barely managed to scrape by on this level. Oh, I got Turallion to the Dark Portal alongside a couple footmen, a flying machine, and a peasant, but that's all I got to the portal. Even my last transport sunk on this attempt, and I had to get creative in order to even do that. So if it was that hard with the save glitch, it couldn't have helped that much, right? Well, let's talk about how it changes the game. From what I can tell, most of the time after saving and reloading, the AI will generally no longer produce ground attack waves or ships. They will generally no longer get upgrades. They will generally continue to produce dragons, replace their fallen defenders, and replace their Death Knights. There are also a few exceptions to all of this that I'll try to highlight with you as they happen. When I triggered the save glitch on this level, Red and Orange stopped spending their money and sending attack waves, but Orange also became significantly more active with their Death Knights. Purple also upgraded Whirlwind, which is especially notable because they didn't upgrade Whirlwind without the glitch. Also, in a truly bizarre turn of events, after resetting for a second time in this level, Orange's AI changed to a third mode. In this mode, they were still active with Death Knights, but also decided to spam catapults from their barracks. Nothing else, just constant attacks of 2 to 3 catapults. Alright, so, what's this level supposed to look like? Well, we start out with a small, fortified base to the south of the map. Orange shares our island, and while their first attack waves are relatively small, they eventually build up into sending massive attack waves with a ton of upgraded Ogre Magi. Then they get Death Knights later on. Red and Purple are on island bases to the north and are passive at first, but eventually also start sending attacks. Red sends in Ogres and Catapults, while Purple attacks with a ton of dragons. My starting gold mine is pretty small, and there's a second lightly defended gold mine up north that's not too hard to take. The obvious play is to use my starting forces to build up, then move out to take the expansion as soon as my starting base runs out. I take the expansion, and then the enemy attacks start to ramp up considerably. The expansion gold mine is in a pretty precarious spot that's really difficult to defend. Orange will attack both my main base and my expansion, while Red can sometimes unload their transports directly north of my expansion. These northern attacks are a massive pain to deal with, because when I send my footmen to deal with Red's catapults, Red's juggernauts can get free shots from the river. To deal with these attacks, I need cannon towers that can reach the shore, but also need to cover these cannon towers with guard towers to deal with enemy dragons. There's also not that much space to build, since the area is covered with trees, and I also need defenses for the land path. In the end, I'm stuck defending while the orcs all mine out their gold. I somehow managed to make it through the storm alive, and after an excruciatingly long time, Orange finally runs out of money. Unfortunately, it takes the entire rest of my bank to build up an army big enough to take out Orange, and I run out of steam before even threatening Red or Purple. This is a problem, because I know from experience that assaulting Red and Purple's bases is going to be really expensive. Purple's attacks and Red's attacks are manageable, but Orange becomes really hard to stop once they build up. Bloodlust is insanely overpowered in this game, and the AI is actually really good at using it. I need to kill them before they get to that point, so with that in mind, I embark on a daring plan. After I mine out my starting base, I can generally get about 3 control groups of fully upgraded footmen with a tiny bank. I try the assault and get overwhelmed. Then, I restart the level and try it again. And again. And again. I stumble on a strategy that feels promising. If I build guard towers close to Orange's barracks, I can really confuse the AI and kill off repairing peasants. However, this strategy isn't perfect, and a lot of things can go wrong very easily. Enemy catapults are awful, as they can easily destroy my towers and lure my footmen into their towers. If the AI sends an attack wave, they will sometimes pounce on my towers as they're building. This is also about when purple and red start sending in their first attack waves, so if I take too long killing orange, my main will get overwhelmed. If my control slips up for even a second, my footmen can get lured into orange's cannon towers, and I can lose a ton in a blink of an eye. Every time I lose here, I have to restart the level, which feels awful. It takes about 5 minutes to get to this point, which admittedly isn't the worst thing in the world, but it gets exhausting when it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. In one attempt, I decide to take the expansion first, hoping I can build up more before going in, but that goes even worse. This time, by the time I've gotten to Orange's base, they have Bloodlust, which makes engaging their army head-on almost impossible. I stop and think, then decide to adjust my strategy a bit. I don't need to destroy Orange's entire base in one strike, I just need to stop them from mining. There aren't as many towers in the southern portion of their base, so this time, I just charge in and keep my units south, keeping my units in a tight group as I make my way to the gold mine. I kill off a few units and towers along the way, and eventually reach my goal with a small army intact. I kill off a bunch of Orange's peons before a couple of catapults fire at me. Staying in a tight group, I move in to kill them, then escape back to the gold mine before I take too much damage. Then, I kill off the rest of Orange's peons, and suddenly, Orange is out of money. I move my peasants into the base, then set up a town hall there and build a couple of towers to protect it. This operation probably took me about 10 tries to get right, but the rewards are completely game-changing. Orange's mine has 70,000 gold left in it, which means not only do I never have to face Ogre Magi or Death Knights, but I also have so many resources to eventually assault red and purple. This decision also came with a surprising secondary benefit. Red can't find Orange's base. Red's transports get stuck in the river above their base, which means they never attack me for the rest of the level. Listen, I know I said I'm not using the save glitch, and I'm not, but I can't save this game from itself. If the AI decides to break on its own accord, I can't stop it. With all of Orange's gold, the rest of the mission is pretty easy. Footmen can overwhelm the enemy army in towers, cannon towers can take out enemy ships, and guard towers guard against enemy dragons. I repeat this process with purple, and only the Dark Portal remains. This portal has a couple of walled-in cannon towers with guard towers and a Death Knight in the back, which is super annoying for Footmen. When I did this level using the save glitch, I baited Purple's Death Knights into using Whirlwind near their own walls and towers, making this last section a fair bit easier. However, without the save glitch, Purple's Death Knights never researched Whirlwind, which I find absolutely bizarre. So, I need to do this the hard way. This segment costs more Footmen lives than red and purple combined, but thankfully, I have so much money it just doesn't matter. I clear out the portal and get Turallion to the Circle of Power. Level complete. Chapter 4. A Quick Break. The next level, Beyond the Dark Portal, offers a bit of a reprieve from the brutal levels of this campaign. I start with 10 Footmen, which is more than enough to destroy White's base and take a gold mine. This level is very similar to level 2, except it's easier because the enemy doesn't have Death Knights. Red sends in ground waves, while black dragon spams. I build up, take out red, steal their gold mine, and then take out black. My Footmen army has established themselves in Draenor, and I move on. Chapter 5. One Peasant, One Dream. The reprieve doesn't last long, as the next level is another really tough one. In my original run, I used the save glitch here to turn off Yellow's AI, which trivialized things. This time, I'm not going to be able to do that, so I'm going to have to figure something else out. Upon the Shadowed Seas starts me off with 4 Footmen and 4 Peasants, which I can use to clear out a tiny orc outpost next to me. Instead of taking Teal's base for myself, I leave with my peasants, instead taking an undefended gold mine to the very north of the map. This gold mine is a little bit smaller than the one I'm supposed to start with, but it has a very easily defendable narrow choke point and can only be attacked from one direction. Teal's base is way more wide open, and when I took it, I found myself struggling to protect my lumber harvesters. This way, I can get by with fewer towers, keep my peasants safe, and just generally build up faster. As my gold mine runs out, I expand to Teal's base, but this time I have the army to protect a larger area. There are 3 enemies on this map. Orange is on my island and sends constant ground attack waves at me, while yellow and purple are across the ocean. Yellow starts slow, but eventually builds up to waves of fully upgraded ogres and catapults, while purple sends ships to harass anything in range of a coastline. My first problem is orange, because the longer I wait to take them out, the less gold I'll have to complete the rest of the mission. Because I'm trying to rush them down, I go a little earlier than I probably should have, and my first wave falls while doing a lot of damage to their base. I rebuild quickly, send in a second wave of footmen, and then clear them up. With orange gone, I'm free to take the rest of the gold on my starting island. There's one more viable gold mine I can take on this map, but this one is a bit trickier to take. I build a shipyard and try to go for a transport, but disaster strikes as I mess up the positioning of my cannon towers. A well-placed cannon tower can make every single enemy ship completely irrelevant, but if I mess up by even one tile, it either won't be able to reach, or enemy juggernauts will destroy it. In this case, juggernauts destroy the cannon tower I built to protect my shores, then move in and destroy the rest of my ships. I eventually clean them up with cannon towers, but this cost me a lot of extra gold and time. Once I get a transport, I immediately send 6 footmen to a small island next to Purple's main. Purple has a tiny expansion here with a gold mine, and 6 footmen are easily able to take out the mining peasants. While destroying Purple's foothold on the island is easy, I'm not actually able to take this mine for myself quite yet, for reasons we'll get into later, so I just load back up and head back to my island. Yellow's attack waves are really starting to bleed me dry, and my gold is running low. I have a choice here. I can either go for a massive attack on Yellow and try to kill them before they spend all their gold, or I can try to defend efficiently until they run out of money. In my previous attempt, draining Yellow's money didn't work, so instead of trying to defend, I go in with 5 full transports, hoping to overwhelm the base. The attack goes okay. On the way towards Yellow's base, I aggro enemy ships. While I unload successfully and destroy Yellow's base, my transports get taken out. Before I realize what happened, I realize I only have 200 gold left and no transports. With no way to get any additional gold, I need to reset to the start of the level. My plan this time is to do the same thing, but faster, better, and with fewer mistakes. I build up a little more before assaulting Orange, this time destroying their base in one strike. I mess up my cannon tower placements again, but I still get a transport and destroy Purple's expansion before Purple destroys my shipyard and foundry this time. This is annoying, but I eventually get my towers in the right place, rebuild my shipyard, and then start getting my transports. Unfortunately, my attack goes significantly worse than it did the previous time. Without being able to save, committing to an attack becomes so much scarier. Things can go south really quickly in this game. My units take forever to escape their landing zone while getting blasted by a destroyer. Most of the footmen are busy attacking enemy buildings while the enemy picks them off one by one, and by the time my attack really starts, its momentum has been blunted. It's a bloody battle, and my footmen kill a lot of enemy units, but this time, my army is the one that gets cleaned up. However, I save my transports and have a lot of production, so I rebuild quickly. I exhaust most of the rest of my bank to quickly send in another attack, and this one goes much better. Yellow has rebuilt a lot of their army by the time I pull in, and my footmen take a lot of shots from ships when they get lured near the coast. However, my army is still too much for Yellow to handle, and I overwhelm their main. Unfortunately, Yellow isn't done fighting quite yet. They have a lot of money, and while my army is destroying their base, they rebuild almost instantly on the bottom half of the island. In a rare show of accidental strategy, Yellow rallies units from their barracks to their second stronghold, then stations their ships near a small choke point, making it challenging for my footmen to move from one side of the island to the other. Then, when I get my army through the choke to overwhelm their rushed expansion, Yellow sneaks a peasant back to the main base and constructs another barracks there. My army takes out a lot of enemies, but is overwhelmed by Yellow's reinforcements, and against all odds, Yellow survives. I'm terrified at this point. Did I just blow it? I only have 6,500 gold left. I'm at 16 supply of mostly peons and transports, and I don't have enough money to continuously fight Yellow's attack waves. However, there is one silver lining. This battle was just as destructive to Yellow's economy as it was to mine. They send 2 more attack waves that I take out with towers, and then they run out of money. I didn't kill Yellow, but Yellow isn't going to kill me either. I need the gold mine near Purple's base in order to make any progress, but there's no way I can take out that cannon tower while purple is still producing ships. However, I have a method of running them out of money. In the orc campaign, we had peasant slaughter, but in the human campaign, we have ship slaughter. The method here is pretty simple. Take the flying machine, aggro enemy destroyers, then retreat back to my cannon tower that's placed perfectly out of juggernaut range. Once they've reached my shore, the enemy ships will patiently wait while my cannon tower pummels them. If I need a ship to move in range, I lure it with the footman, then retreat before it fires a shot. When the enemy only has juggernauts left, I lure them the same way with the transport. Basically, I can sink purple's fleet with one cannon tower, and continue doing it until they run out of money. It doesn't take too long before purple is both broke and shipless. So now, we're ready to try to take this last gold mine, but there is one massive problem. It is protected by the world's most annoying cannon tower. This cannon tower is just in range of my mining peasants, so taking the space without destroying the tower is not viable. However, this cannon tower is ridiculously hard for footmen to kill. Purple has 3 catapults on the other side of the river, which will blow up any footmen or transports that try to land there. There is a tree wall which blocks all land attacks from the left side, and Death Knights will use Death Coil on any unit that gets close. There is a second cannon tower just north of the first that prevents entry from that direction, and the land pass to the south is tiny, making it really hard to navigate through. At least there aren't any juggernauts guarding it anymore, so that's something, right? If I could just kill this one stupid tower, I'd have 19,000 more gold to work with, but I really don't have many resources right now. I want to keep 1,200 gold for a town hall, so first, I run my flying machine over the edge of Purple's base, baiting the Death Knights to waste their mana on Whirlwind. Then, I take my last 4 footmen and charge them from the narrow southern path. I get 1 footman to the tower, retreat it to the far side of Purple's base, and then start slashing. The cannon tower doesn't do much damage, so it looks like I might be able to pull it off, but then, no. My footman dies, and now I have 3 peasants, 4 transports, 1 flying machine, and 1,300 gold left. Well, 3 peasants is better than nothing. I go in again. 1 peasant dies immediately, and another peasant goes the wrong way. The 3rd peasant makes it and gets to the tower so low. Come on. Come on. No! It must be on like 10 health. I just need a couple more hits. I take my last peasant, put it in a transport, and then unload it at the tower. I move to attack it, and yeah, I die before hitting it, and my transport sinks too. Well, I spend the last of my money on 1 more footman and 1 more peasant, bringing me down to 3 transports, 1 flying machine, 1 footman, 1 peasant, and no bank. I consider giving up at this point. I need 1 peasant to mine, and I don't think 1 footman will be able to reach the tower. Just as I'm about to leave the game, a thought occurs to me. There is 1 way left open to me. Instead of loading up my transport, I take my flying machine and start flying around the outskirts of Purple's base. Purple spams Whirlwind to try and take my flying machine out, and come on, just a little closer. Yes! The Whirlwind takes out the weakened tower. I still have 1 peasant. I can do this. I only have 400 gold, so I can't build a town hall, but I can still mine. It's tedious, but if a peasant enters a transport with gold, they will still be able to exit the transport with said gold. That means I can long distance mine, and I'm still in this game. After about 5 minutes of long distance mining, I have enough gold for a town hall. Technically, it is more efficient to not construct a town hall here, but it would also take absolutely forever, and I'm not doing that. Once I expand, I train up 2 more peasants, then start slowly mining and building up a footman army. I need to destroy all the enemy shipyards in order to beat the level, so I go after yellow first. I take out their tiny remaining army, destroy their shipyard, and then learn that this triggers their remaining submarine to attack my base. I'm unprepared for this, so the submarine almost destroys my shipyard before I build a guard tower to take it out. In retrospect, it's a pretty good thing I saved this shipyard, because the mission objective asked me to build 3 of them. To make sure I don't forget, I quickly build the other 2 before assaulting Purple. Purple's base is small, but dense. Their army isn't huge, but it's supported by Death Knights, 3 catapults and several cannon towers that cover the entire base. While the island gold brought me back from life support, I could still run out very easily if my attacks go poorly. Before charging in, I fly around the base, hoping Whirlwind can soften them up. I actually kill one of their 3 catapults this way, but most Whirlwinds do nothing and this strategy is taking a long time. So, I decide to go for it. My first army makes a successful landing and deals heavy damage to their base, killing their entire army and taking out a couple towers. Unfortunately, their towers cover each other, and I retreat a few units in an attempt to take out one of their shipyards. Then, disaster strikes. Purple is only out of lumber, and still has gold left. They rebuild the Death Knight and take out my army. I go again immediately with 6 more footmen, landing at the top cannon towers. I take a death coil, but destroy 2 more towers, then move on to the Temple of the Damned. This has to die. I destroy it, and kill the last Death Knight, but at the cost of all 6 footmen. With the last of my money, I train 2 more footmen, then go with everything I have left. My last 4 footmen unloaded the southern cannon tower and destroy it. With that, it's over. Both remaining shipyards have no support, and I'm able to destroy them. For fun, I kill off the last cannon tower in Purple's base, then beat the level with 3 footmen and 4 peasants left over. Not even close. Chapter 6. Our Hero Returns. Now we have the Fall of Arkandun, and for this one, we get our good friend Daynath back. He's a wonderful footman who truly understands the meaning of teamwork, and he is the crux of our strategy here. While my peasants head to an undefended gold mine to the south, Daynath and his pack of footmen leave them, instead heading up north straight to Red's base. My footmen charge through Red's defenses, then overwhelms Red's tiny army near their gold mine. With that, Daynath can camp out Red's mine, slaughter all of Red's peons, and take them completely out of the game before they've even sent an attack wave. His job done, Daynath comes back to defend my base and still has a good 83 health left despite taking multiple cannon tower shots. With Red destroyed early and their gold mine available for me to use, this mission isn't too bad. Aside from Red, there are 3 enemies in this level. Teal sends occasional ground forces and has some ships. Orange spams destroyers, and Black spams dragons. As long as I make sure to keep dragons away from Daynath and the random paladin I'm dragging along, surviving is pretty manageable. This is another level I used the Saved Lich on during my first run, though I definitely didn't need it. However, the Saved Lich had a really weird effect, because while it shut off Teal's AI, it actually made Orange attack with consistent small waves of grunts. Nothing else, just grunts. Without the Saved Lich, Orange never sends these attack waves and only attacks me with destroyers instead. To beat the level, I only have to destroy Orange. This is a good thing because Black's base is a massive fortress that would be ridiculously challenging to break through with only footmen. So, I build up, then build a bunch of towers near the coast, and start slaughtering Orange's ships until they run out of money. After that, I load up my transports with footmen and go. My first wave gets stopped, makes a bit of progress, then my second wave completely overwhelms the base. A couple of cannon towers later, I sink Orange's last ships, and I'm able to get Daynath and the Paladin back to my spawn point, completing the mission. Chapter 7. Intermission. Mission 7, Deathwing, is the weirdest level in Warcraft 2. It's a really interesting and creative mission that straddles the line between a base level and a non-base level. I do get a base in it, but the only units I can actually build are peasants and destroyers. Most of the map is structured like a non-base level, and you're forced to rely on your heroes to carry you through it. It's a super cool level, and I love the fact that it's in the game, but since I can't even build a barracks, it's impossible with footmen only. Moving on. Chapter 8. Liches are inevitable. The Coast of Bone starts us with 4 footmen and 5 peasants. White has a small base in the northwest, Purple is a dragon-spamming enemy to the southwest, Yellow has a big base in the southeast, and there is an open gold mine just to the east of White's base. Normally, I'm supposed to use my starting army to destroy White, then take over their island to myself, but with a smaller starting army, I need to take the open gold mine and build defenses immediately. White clearly isn't expecting me to go to the open mine, as they immediately send in peons to build watchtowers in the middle of my base. It's pretty easy to defend early, and after building up a small army, I go to kill White, who is extremely weak. Unfortunately, a yellow attack wave prevents me from finishing off White's base. but I still have enough base defenses that I easily survive, and I'm able to eventually finish off my starting island. My first try on this level, I broke Yellow's AI with the save glitch. Without saving, Yellow's AI worked just fine, and they sent ground attack waves towards me all game. However, I tried so hard to let the AI have a chance here, just like those peons are trying so hard to chop lumber. I don't know whether I should be laughing at or horrified with this game, but without lumber, purple is never able to tech up to dragons, which means they're very easy to take out. Since I don't need to worry about dragons and have a ton of purple's gold, I easily overwhelm Yellow's base. They put up a fight, but I have way too much gold to be stopped. The last naval mission in the campaign is over, only land missions from here on out. Chapter 9. Flying machines are the key. The Footmen have reached the heart of dark magic in Draenor, and I comfortably take a base in the southern portion of the map. There are 4 enemies on this map. Teal aggressively sends a near-constant stream of ground attacks. Red also attacks with ground forces while simultaneously spamming dragons, and Black loves spamming Death Knights. White also exists, but they're more a defensive bottleneck that separates me from Red and Black's bases. When played legit, this level is terrifying because Death Knights will constantly harass you for the entire mission. However, this mission is also where flying machines truly shine. When I send flying machines to the Great Wall that separates me from the Northern Orc bases, Death Knights will prioritize casting Whirlwind on them over casting spells that actually hurt me. This makes an otherwise incredibly challenging level pretty manageable. I really want to destroy Teal before they mine out their gold, so my first priority is to build an army and smash their base. Instead of attacking the heavily fortified front of Teal's base, I slip my footmen around up top. My plan is to destroy a tiny piece of their wall, then sneak in and kill their mining peons. But it turns out I don't even need to do that. They've opened up the wall themselves by chopping lumber around it, and my footmen stake a foothold in their base. Their army fights back, but Teal spends all of their money as soon as they get it, so it doesn't take long to kill all of their peons and completely bankrupt them. Without Teal's attack waves, the level gets significantly calmer. I take out the rest of Teal's base with some reinforcements, then I expand twice, grabbing a ton of gold. I want to take White's gold mine too, but by the time I get there with the Footman army, there's only 300 gold left in it, and a dragon drives me back anyway, so I don't manage to get it. Still, since I took out Teal so early, I have an absurd amount of gold, so I'm not too worried. When I expand to the northwest mine on my side of the map, Red tries to send ground forces towards my town hall there. Unfortunately for Red, those troops get stuck on the Orc side of the Great Wall, and their ground attacks stop almost completely. Also, with Red's army almost completely outside of their base, it becomes really easy to send in a squad of footmen to take out Red's fortress, peons, and all of their production structures. Red's last dragons drive my army back, but I'm victorious and only Black remains. Black is still really dangerous, with an elite defensive army, an absurd amount of gold, and a ton of Death Knights that will target my footmen as soon as I enter their territory. My first army fares rather poorly, destroying a few towers before getting overwhelmed by a fully functional Orc army. I build up, spending most of my gold left over on a new army, and charge in again. This attack goes significantly better as I overwhelm Black's army in production, then build a few guard towers to snipe enemy demons near the fortress. However, in doing all this, my army traded its life for progress, and Black is quickly rebuilding in the northwest. If my third army can't overwhelm them quickly, I might be in trouble. The mission objective states that I need to destroy the Shadowmoon Fortress and Ner'zhul's Magic Sanctum, but I'm not entirely sure what that means. I've destroyed the fortress, but the level isn't over. Maybe I just need to... Oh, okay. I guess I just need to destroy the runestones too. Moving on. Chapter 10. The Not-So-Defense Mission. The Siege of Vanguard is a level that states I need to, quote, hold out until the besieging orcs retreat, unquote. You'd think this would mean it's a defense level, and it's actually supposed to be one. There's a trigger in this level that gives you the win if every other player has 400 gold or less, but this code checks not just your enemies, but also the rescuable red hero player, and every player not included in this game. All of these players start with 5,000 gold, and obviously can't spend money, so the trigger essentially just doesn't work. This is actually pretty unfortunate for us here, because with good defensive positioning, outlasting the AI with only footmen is doable, if still challenging. However, having enough footmen left to not only outlast the AI, but also destroy their bases is a lot harder to pull off. This level took me a while to figure out, But eventually, I realized that I can't sit back and defend. Instead, I need to be aggressive and make sure the AI can never take any of the outer mines on the map. The good news is that we have Danath again. Sweet, wonderful, incredible, fabulous Danath. This man is my hero, and he can bail us out here. After quickly building up a small army of footmen, I run outside my base, heading straight to a gold mine on the western side of the map. Teal has set up an expansion here and is defending it with a bunch of towers, but with Danath on our side, it's just barely possible to take out these towers, then start getting rid of the town hall. Teal notices me attacking their expansion, and sends a counterattack almost immediately, which kills everyone except Danath. I'm having to constantly produce reinforcements while simultaneously microing Danath, but I have just enough health left to take out every tower and the Great Hall there. My job done, I retreat my forces back home and assume a defensive position. It's incredibly important to take out these towers early, because pretty soon, White is going to get fully upgraded Ogre Magi, and my footmen won't be able to engage them very well in the open field. Teal spams weak, poorly upgraded units. White constantly sends in fully upgraded, massive armies, and Purple spams dragons. The attack wave compositions are similar to the previous mission, but they are much more intense. However, I am now an expert in understanding how to kill off 1,000,000 melee units swarming a fortress, and I have just the perfect tool to do it with. I have walls of my own now, and I am not afraid to use them. By building multiple lines of guard towers just inside the walls, most enemies barely get a chance to attack. Catapults are annoying, but this setup lets me build up a big army, and I always have a few footmen to spare for them. While I'm building up, I train up a flying machine and watch the outer gold mine, waiting for Teal's gold to run out. When I see Teal's peons starting the long-distance mine, it's time to leave. I send my army straight to the mine, build a few guard towers near it, and try to hold it as long as I can. As I take it, White starts sending in Death Knights to death and decay my towers, and White's ogres start whittling down my footmen. Still, White and Teal are both running out of gold, and I'm killing their peons. If I can just hold out for long enough... And just like that, the attacks stop. White and Teal are broke. Purple still sends dragons, but the true threat has been completely neutralized. I now have a gold mine with a whopping 100,000 extra gold in it, while White and Teal have no army and no peons. The hard part is over, and it's just cleanup from here. I train a few transports and use them to kill Purple, then take out the last two orc bases, easily winning from this point. It may look like this level is pretty easy based on how much money I have remaining, but I assure you, this was a very specific timing. Once I captured the center mine, the level was over, but figuring out how to do that took me a while. Praise Danath. Chapter 11. An Alliance is Forged. Only 2 levels left. The Shadow Grunt clan learns of our victories at Vanguard and offers us an alliance. Grunts and footmen are more alike than different, they say, and they too are horrified by the orcs' recent fascination with magic. To help us stop the Death Knights from messing with the Dark Portal, the orcs offer to start a revolt within the Horde, and destroy several key bases to make our lives a little easier. I was really worried when I got to this level, because I have 3 hero units that I can't use in combat, and the enemy attacks almost immediately. The enemies seemed too strong and too fast for me to make only grunts work here. But then, I discovered something game-changing. The enemy doesn't send attack waves to your base, but instead sends them towards your heroes. So, if I just select my heroes and move them down a little bit to the bottom of the map, well, you guessed it. Teal's units try to swim across a lake, and Purple's units bump their heads into a wall, so it's basically a free win. With no attack waves reaching my base, I build up, destroy Teal's base, destroy Purple's base, then destroy Purple's army. Easy win, and we're moving on to the final level. Chapter 12. The Dark Portal. It's time for the final battle and the last fight against the Horde. I start with a big base surrounding the Dark Portal, but the orcs have put together a massive counterattack at the start of the level, forcing me to retreat to a narrow choke point protected by towers. My outlying base stands no chance, but I managed to retreat 3 presents into my main base, then build a couple of cannon towers to completely slaughter this massive Horde attack. As we know very well at this point, grunts do not do well attacking walled-off cannon towers protected by melee troops, so the orcs have a bad time and the level can actually begin. My stated goal for this level is to destroy the Dark Portal, but there's a bit of a problem. Only Khadgar can damage the Dark Portal. and even if I were allowing myself to control him, he starts the level completely trapped. The orcs have imprisoned all my heroes with a grunt-proof force field, and by virtue of my destroyer rule, I'm not allowed to blow it up until I've destroyed every grunt-accessible structure on the map. To make matters worse, I can't kill off my heroes or anything in that area to free up supply, because enemy dragons will find Khadgar at some point. That means our non-commandable hero, Illyria, will need to save him. Essentially, this means this level, normally a defense level, has turned into a genocide mission. There are 3 enemies on the map. Black will spam dragons while occasionally sending ground forces towards me. White starts out relatively small, building their base by the dark portal at the start of the mission, but if you allow them to build up, they will become extremely powerful, attacking with waves of bloodlusted ogre magi. Red, meanwhile, exists. Actually, let's talk about Red. Normally, they're actually really aggressive and powerful, but whenever I played it, they never attacked me for some reason. At first, I thought it was a save glitch, but even when I restart the full level, they're still completely passive. Confused, I do a little testing and figure out what's going on. While Red builds up normally regardless of what you do, they only move out for the first time when the wall protecting your heroes is blown up. At that moment, Red will take all of their attacking forces and send them straight at your heroes, and then, Red will not send attack waves towards your base, but instead sends them towards your heroes. Since I can't control goblin sappers, I never blow up the wall, and Red never activates. My first priority in this level is ensuring White never gets a chance to build up. White's AI is very competent, and if I let them get a foothold, they will eventually overwhelm me. The good news is that they're very close by, so it's time for a tower rush. I send footmen and peasants towards White's base, building towers progressively closer to their production. I'm able to slow down White a bit as their peons repair their buildings, but progressing is still challenging because White produces catapults and ogres, and I'm so focused on micro that my macro is slipping a bit. It feels like I'm making progress, but then 2 dragons show up in my base, and I realize I forgot to build guard towers there. I quickly adjust, trying to defend against the dragons while simultaneously keeping my forward position alive. White destroys a couple of my cannon towers, but only after they did their job, destroying one of White's annoying guard towers, getting me closer to their mine. I build another scout tower close by, but I've pulled so many peasants in this operation that I'm out of lumber. I pull some peasants back into lumber, then send in 4 footmen to snipe their guard tower near the gold. I snipe the tower and slow down White a ton by killing a ton of mining peons. Before I can take their mine, I realize that Black's dragons have chewed through all the guard towers in my base and are starting to overwhelm my main, and I need to build more there too. I pivot, building guard towers to protect my base, and in the ensuing chaos, White retakes their gold mine. Not wanting to lose my momentum, I send 5 more footmen towards White's gold, and with no towers there, I'm able to kill all their peons and take them out of the game. After my starting gold mine runs out, I only have 1600 gold and 4 footmen, but that's enough to build a town hall in White's base. Things get a little bit easier from here. Black has a ton of dragons, but their ground waves aren't that scary, and it's not too hard for me to build up an army. Pretty soon, I take the gold mine above my base, which helps me build up more and amass a gold bank. After setting up my northern expansion, Red partially activates for the first time. They don't send ground waves, but my structures are close enough to their base that they start using Death Knights to destroy my guard towers and harass my peasants. In response, I train 2 flying machines and station them above the walls between me and Red. I'm not sure if Red even has Whirlwind upgraded, and they never use it on my flying machines, but this seems to pacify the Death Knights regardless. Red stops being annoying and goes back to their usual calm selves. After mining out my expansion, it's time to build up and attack Black. My first wave takes heavy casualties as they break through the front few towers of the base, then retreat. My second wave does a bit better as I destroy the towers near the gold mine and get up a few guard towers near their dragon roosts. After that, I send in the rest of my army and finish them off. I only have a couple thousand gold after the attack, but Black has a massive mine that I'm now free to take, and I now have 65,000 extra gold to work with to take down Red. After mining out the map, I make a mistake. I'm not expecting Red to be a huge problem because they haven't attacked all game, and I have a lot of money, so I go in with only 4 control groups of grunts. Red's base doesn't have too many walls and is pretty open terrain, but they do have fully upgraded Ogre Magi, Cannon Towers, and Death Knights. My army gets slaughtered after destroying a few towers, and then Red wakes up. Almost immediately, Red sends a counterattack, obliterating my expansion in Black's base. then attacking my towers in the center of the map. Red's Death Knights start aggressively descoiling my Footmen, and my gold supply is starting to dwindle a bit. Am I seriously going to lose this way? No, I can outproduce them. I still have this. I build up another army of Footmen, go in, and destroy a couple more towers. Then, I build up a third army and break through the rest of their towers, and I'm finally able to attack production. Red tries to rebuild in vain, and they make things a little scary, but eventually, I'm able to destroy their last building and cleanse every orc from the soil surrounding the Dark Portal. The fog of war lifts, I save for the first time, and peace returns to Draenor. There is only one thing left to do. Epilogue, the new Footman Utopia. Khadgar wanted us to destroy the Dark Portal, but that was an evil trick from a magical manipulator who didn't want us to discover the world that would become our Footman paradise. There's no reason to destroy the Dark Portal now. My Footmen have won. We have dispelled every last trace of dark magic from Draenor, forging an alliance with the honorable Shadowgrunt clan in the process. The age of dark magic is over, and the new utopia for all grunts and footmen can begin. After a vote, the wonderful, amazing, extraordinary hero Danath is elected president of the new Footman Republic. His first decree is to finish cleansing Draenor of all non-honorable combatants, and therefore, a public execution is held. The surviving footmen, flying machines, and peasant gather at the keep near the Dark Portal, and Danath speaks in his perfect commanding voice. Ilaria, for the crime of being an archer in the Republic of Footmen, the Council has sentenced you to death. Turalian, for the crimes of being a paladin in the Republic of Footmen, and forcing us to defend you in multiple levels, the Council has sentenced you to death. Khadgar, your crimes were the most egregious of all. For the crime of studying magic in the Republic of Footmen, and for attempting to destroy access to our sacred Promised Land, your sentence is the knowledge that your magic will never reach the heights of Footmen working together. You will die here at the base of this portal that you so wish to destroy, with the knowledge that the Footman Republic will live forever as a utopia that no mage will ever be able to bring down. And with that execution, the Dark Portal forever stayed standing. The road of the Footman is tough, but it is righteous. Humanity sacrificed and won. Long live the Footman.